one of my few things I can flex with is my screen time is not bad at all.
Dude, that's funny that you say that. I used to like really care about my screen time, and I used to really care about my screen time, so I would save it as like a widget on my phone, and then I would like try to like get lower and lower numbers. But the thing would happen is I would do something like this where I'd drive up to LA and the GPS driving year would add 2 hours
I hated that.
and it would make me freaking pissed.
I know, because I listen, the one thing I do is I listen like 8 hours of Spotify a day.
Yeah.
I listen to Spotify more than I listen to my own thoughts.
Music or podcasts?
Music.
Okay.
Although I will admit I'm one of those girls that watch Call Her Daddy.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, so it's really good.
Well, you know what I will say that now that I'm a podcaster, what I really respect about Call Her Daddy is that take like Joe Rogan, for example. Like Joe Rogan's like a top podcast in the world, and then there's Call Her Daddy. The thing with Joe Rogan is you only care to watch for the guest. Mm-hmm. So like you're gonna go look through and you're not gonna watch 90% of the episodes, but you see someone you like, you'll watch it because he's a really good interviewer. But Call Her Daddy, on the other hand,
She's entertainment.
She's a really good conversationalist. Mm-hmm. So you'll watch for whoever she interviews. And it's funny that you brought that up because it was the thing I was thinking about most with your episode was that you're my 15th episode. So
hell yeah, the best one.
I was going through all the I was like thinking about the podcast. I was like, what do I want to improve? And the episodes that were more interviews, I don't like as much as the ones that are more conversations. So I tried to like write the questions in a way where it's like you still have the opportunity to share your story, but it's not so much that like only you can talk about it.
Yeah.
So like, for example, instead of asking you my first question, instead of saying, why did you become an actor? I can't commentate on why you became an actor because I don't know.
Yeah, tell me all my secrets, please.
But I'm going to ask you, why do you think people become actors? So therefore, you can answer it from your own point of view, but then I can also talk about it. It's more of a conversation than like a...
Actually, one of the reasons I went into neuroscience was because I was really interested in just why people act the way they do. And also, and it's funny enough, in high school, I was always really good at like science and math, and I knew I could go that direction, and I knew I could make a difference that way. So in my mind, I felt really guilty about like, why would I do something like acting that I could make a difference in like another field?
That's
so
interesting.
I specifically studied why people are so attracted to stories and so attracted to a form of escapism. So it's something I'm interested in.
That's interesting because I was going to follow up on that question and say, are you passionate about playing someone else? Are you really into the idea of playing someone else? Or are you more into the idea of escaping yourself?
Well, that comes a lot from, why I got into it in the first place was because I was a huge nerd growing up.
Yeah.
Book nerd, really.
Book nerd.
I did not.
Good.
Well, I used to say like my drug of choice is reading, so there's worse things. But no, I didn't live my own life at all. I would prefer to be in another world with other characters and not myself. Just, I moved constantly.
Yeah.
Every 6 months, I lived in over like 12 different states. It was just go. And my only stability was being able to have that escape. I was really shy. Yeah. I never had time to make any friends. So it was, that was how I escaped my own reality. And when I was 16, it was a really dark place. And I kind of came to a point where I was like, I'm really shy, but I only read really strong female characters. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Like just kind of to psychoanalyze myself for a second. Like, what's the draw? Why would I rather do this than go out and
like play a nerdy character, a shy character?
Yeah. And so what I started doing is I was like, no, I'm not going to be that person. You make your own reality. Yeah. You are your mind. It's like, I'm going to be the people I read about. I'm going to be that really strong female character that says what's on her mind and does whatever the fuck she wants.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can curse.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can.
I curse like a sailor, so that works.
Okay.
But yeah, from that moment forward, I got over any social anxiety, and I decided I was like the closest that I could get to those characters that meant so much to me growing up was acting. I wanted to be a film director since I was 4 years old, so I knew everything about it. I love storytelling. And I guess the biggest thing, if it's characters that I want to live in the world for, then I'm telling it for them. But the root of it is always just to feel like I'm living multiple lifetimes. Life is so short that I love the freedom there is to be able to see so many different perspectives and meet so many different people they never were able to.
Do you think, you told me off camera that you were like a workaholic growing up, you would actually just run us through your schedule, like the 5 a.m. acting, barista, everything.
Well, my high school schedule was torture looking back at it. Yes, I'd wake up at 5 a.m. I'd box for 2 hours because I used to compete in that.
We'll get into that later.
It's so much angst, you know, just how to get out some of it.
Yeah.
And then I'd go to school. I made sure I was so OCD I couldn't get less than 100% just because I was so... everything was just geared towards getting out there and making a future better than the present moment. So school, and then I would go work to save up for college as a barista. I was a horrible latte art, but those years are behind me. And then I'd go to acting until 11 p.m.
So damn, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. almost daily.
I didn't
night.
sleep.
So this is, do you think that almost because you're doing so much like work that, and I'm sure that a lot of the work outside of acting, like being a barista or going to school, do you think a lot of, because you worked so much that you would escape those moments and like think about stories and characters, and that's like a big part of why you became an actor? Absolutely.
I mean, I've done it my whole life. It was kind of just like the go-to way I could cope instead of like growing up and not being happy most of the time. It's like, okay, if I'm not happy, then like quick fix, I will go live another life. Like that kind of thing.
So my why behind the podcast, I usually say this at the start of the podcast, which is still pretty close to start, is that I want to inspire people to invest in soul wealth. So not the classic wealth, which is building up your money, possessions, and achievements, but soul wealth, which is investing in your relationships and creating memories. And one of the reasons that I got to this place for the why behind the podcast is because I put all my worth in work. So I would I was so like, I wanted to be a YouTuber. It was a dream. And I would obsess about it. I would tell people I'm not going to hang out with them unless it was YouTube related. I recorded all my interactions with my friends. And if I didn't post a video, then I felt horrible about myself. It's that OCD thing, a lot of what you talk about. And
you put your worth to this idea of productivity.
Yeah, I literally put my self-value in work. And so if my work was going well, I was happy. And if my work wasn't going well, I was unhappy. And I realized how, now looking back, I realized that that's so not good. And the way I judge my success now is by my relationships, the people who are in my life and the memories I have. You are even a harder workaholic than me, and I want to know, what do you think about that concept? Do you find yourself struggling with the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing has always been a race against the clock.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, I mean, relatively, we're both really young, but it always has felt that. We are.
Yeah.
But it's always felt that, like, I'm not doing enough for my age. Like, it's just comparison is the root of all evil, you know? I don't think I struggle with that same mentality that I did all those years ago. I found a lot more of a balance because I started, as you did, valuing relationships a lot more. Work has come and go. It's still really important to me, not for the monetary value, but just because like I love stories and it's like who I am at like the core of my identity, and there's nothing else I want to do in life but tell them.
Yeah.
So that's different. I do stand by the fact that you could be successful in any field that you choose and live up all like the goals that you set for yourself, but if you're not surrounded by good people to like celebrate it with, or at the end of the day you don't feel like you can rely on other people, then it can only take you so far.
Yeah. Have you ever done like the exercise where it's like you picture yourself getting everything you ever wanted? You're like, you're Katniss Everdeen, the next role, they decide to redo Hunger Games in 10 years. You get the role, you make $10 million. And you buy your dream house.
I'm just getting euphoric thinking about it.
Yeah, you're literally getting excited. So I don't know if this is going to be a good question.
No.
But like, you get it all, and then you look back at the last 10 years, and you're like, all I did was work.
Where'd it go?
Like, you don't have any memory. You have all these achievements, and you have this money and possessions, but but you looked back and you felt like, damn, I just didn't spend any quality time with people. Do you think about that or not?
More recently, as in like the past year, I would say, just because, I don't know, I went through a really hard time. It was like a year and a half ago when I was going through a rough, I can't talk, rough breakup.
Yeah.
And, I like didn't even have the energy to work. And at that moment, I was like, what is all this for? Like, what got me out of that were my friends and the people that like genuinely cared about me. And from then on, I was like, I only want to surround myself with people that like mean a lot to me and are genuine. And the more I've started to do that, the more like there's no reason not to have a balance. And the most important thing is just to be present and like live life in the moment, because it goes away so fast.
You know what I've noticed, and I'm curious if you notice this too, is that I was a workaholic, and I thought that by like avoiding time with people, I was being more productive.
Yep.
So I thought that like I'm sitting more hours at my desk, or I'm spending more hours in the mirror, so I am more productive. But then I had a similar kind of stopping moment. It wasn't a breakup, but I got a sickness that like infection in my kidney. It made me have a lot of brain fog and just super weak. And I was always like a super athlete, super disciplined, work hard. And then I couldn't do anything that I could normally do. And I've always heard like the idea of like people giving you energy or taking energy, but I didn't like really notice it. And when I got sick, I like right now, I mean, this is only like a few months after I got sick, but I can identify exactly who gives me energy and who takes away. And I realize that when I take time to hang out with people who give me energy, I'm literally more productive than when I don't. And that's like such a big thing that I literally, for like the past 3 years, I feel like I just thought it was all brute force work. And now I'm like, no, people make such a big effect on your work.
No, like it gives you a reason to like want to live more. It's like, like being off of that energy. And like, I would say like, yeah, say I used to like want to lock myself in a room and just like work and like be like productive, whatever that means. But you don't need to. Like you can have balance, and you know those times that like it makes you want to work harder.
It's Matthew.
Enjoy it more too.
Have you read Green Lights? Mm-mm. It's Matthew McConaughey's book.
I saw the disappointment in your eyes.
Well, because I was like, you're a book nerd, self-proclaimed book nerd.
That's true.
And you like acting, so I thought you'd read Matthew's book.
I am like very picky with the genre of it.
What kind of books do you like?
Like fantasy romance books.
Okay.
I'm not reading like okay. I like the 48 Laws of Power. Sure, it's been included in there. Like the
dude, I always see clips of that on TikTok. It looks soft. It looks outside.
Well,
it's like dominance.
I know, power. No, I wanted to learn how the enemy thinks, you know, so just...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people reference that book as changing their lives, but...
I don't know if I would take it that far, but it's...
It looks sus, though, I'll say.
It is a little bit. It's a good bedside table just to, like...
I mean, it fills your dark role that you're saying. Where was I going with this? Oh, but one of the things he says is that, like, a lot of people think of selflessness and selfishness as like mutually exclusive. So they think like, if I spend time for myself, then I'm selfish. And if I spend time with others, I'm selfless. But I guess like what I'm kind of realizing is that like the way you love yourself and you do things to make yourself happy, and like you spend time with people who give you energy, like it pours out into all the people around you, into your work. And I realize that like selflessness and selfishness are almost like they pair together well. And that was kind of like a big realization from that.
Well, there's also like the argument that everything is like inherently selfish. Like you're, say, you care to like hang out with this person, but you're caring because they make you feel good.
Yeah.
Rather than them.
Or it's like
individual.
I'm donating money to a charity, but like I'm doing
because it makes you feel good.
Yeah, because like now I feel better about myself. So exactly, that's like the concept he says. It's like selfishness and selflessness are like, they're actually like partners, and people think of them as like mutually exclusive, that I can only be one or the other.
Nothing is black and white.
Yeah.
I'd love to think, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we coordinated this actually.
That's funny.
But no, nothing's mutually exclusive if you really think about it, at least in this general sense.
You should hear Sina if you Your friends have seen her, right?
Yeah.
If you bring up yin and yang to him, he'll go on for like 20 minutes. He's like, I love the yin and yang. There's just a little bit of white in the black.
No,
black.
okay, that's like something I was like, I would totally get a tattoo of that, actually.
Dude, what? Let him give you a speech on it. You'll be getting a tattoo.
I'll check that one out, actually.
Shout out Cena. But what was I going to ask you next? Oh, I want to ask, I brought this up before the podcast too, is we are on USC. This is the film school. There's like millions of kids who want to come here. I mean, you said you wanted to come here when you were 14. I applied to come here. I got rejected. It was one of my dreams. I like pictured Steven Spielberg walking in and
just personally.
Yeah. He's like, you're
like, welcome home.
He's like, you have my favorite podcast.
I'm such a fan.
But this, like, expectations versus reality, there's so many people who will never get to experience this reality. And you just graduated. You lived it all. What were your expectations and what was the reality of USC Film School?
Again, when I was 14, I was like, this is the only school I'm applying to. I need to go here because at that time, it wasn't even about acting. I wanted to do film production.
Yeah.
And this is the best place to do it. To me, the image of it just like equated to a better future in the very general sense. It equated to being, the one time I could say like was the happiest moment in my childhood was when I went to like film camp. It was like sleepaway at UNCSA.
Yeah.
I was 14 when I decided it. And I don't know, it meant being around people that were passionate about the same things for me for once, that I wouldn't be alone.
Yeah.
And I'd have the opportunity to make the connections to one day tell stories long term.
Yeah. So, but like, go back to you being a little girl and like what you pictured this would be. Was it everything like, well, now you finished, was it what you like thought it was? Or like, how did it differ from what you expected?
I don't know. I guess I never took into the equation like student life in general, first of all, and I didn't expect to meet the people that I did. Just like anything in school, it's school. Like, you're still just like, you're going to class, not all of them you'll like, you're still being graded. Some things are arbitrary. But I don't know if it was necessarily different. I, in general, try to go into things not having expectations.
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed as a result. But I guess my final answer to that is I built it up to kind of be like this like huge starting off point.
Yeah.
Like, it like would mean so much if I got in here. Like, I cared about it more than anything. And I'm here and I'm like, why, like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what's the next thing?
Yeah,
like,
what's the next thing?
I was like, what makes me different then from all other people here?
Yeah.
Because you're constantly surrounded for like 4 years about like such talented people that you again just like, there's something special about me being here.
You brought up something interesting earlier, was that like, you said comparison is like
The root of all evil.
the root of all evil, and
It's true.
I mean, I think there's a few other evil roots.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say though that it's funny you mentioned how young I am, because I'm young. I'm 22 and I'm starting a podcast, and a lot of people would say that's amazing, and you're starting an acting career at even younger than I was doing my thing, and it's like a lot of people would say that's amazing, but when you're here in LA or you're in the world I am, it's like, you know, some freaking 16-year-old who has 5 million followers, and you're like, shit, like he's ahead of me, and it's almost
Just living in this bubble, you forget that like this isn't normal.
Yeah, this isn't normal. But the other thing that's hard is that they say surround yourself with successful people. So by surrounding yourself with a 16-year-old that has 5 million subscribers, whatever, it's like you are bringing yourself up, but at the same time, you're subconsciously telling yourself, like, I'm not as good as these people.
Oh, absolutely. I struggle with that every single day.
I mean, that is, what is the solution to that?
I would love to have the answer.
I feel like, I mean, I don't think this solves it all, but the thing that is best, in my opinion, is just trying to
appreciate what you already have.
And believing that others' success is your own success too. Like, if Jack, like, is the reason I met you, if Jack is successful, I believe I'm successful too. Like, I believe that I've built a good enough relationship with him that I'll be able to share.
I care about, like, the people I'm friends with, I want them to succeed.
And that's such a good trait.
Well, because, like, you're friends with them. You see all the work that goes into it. You see how much they care about it too. And it's like, just because they are doesn't mean that you can't be too.
But do you ever feel like that?
Oh no, it doesn't always feel like that at all.
Because I agree.
I don't know. It's difficult because it's still something that I'm working through. I guess like it truly is like the exercise I do is to compare myself to like a year ago or 2 years ago.
To yourself.
Yeah, because it's like, wow, that person 2 years ago would have killed to be where I am now.
And even going back to the soul wealth perspective of this podcast is that 16-year-old might have $10 million and 60 million followers, but chances are he doesn't have the emotional intelligence that I do, and there's a really good chance that he's a lot unhappier than I am. But you don't see that. You just see the numbers, and you just and that like getting to know a lot of successful people and like on a really intimate, deep level opens you up to the idea that like, yes, numerically they might be more successful than me, but that doesn't mean
it doesn't equate to happiness or fulfillment in any way.
And that's like why I literally measure my success by my relationships. Like
and also it's living in this LA bubble. You realize a lot of people that like have those numbers, even a lot of them are smoke and mirrors. Like it only takes you so far, and everything is an image game.
And now, especially with the new algorithm, all numbers aren't created equally.
No.
You'll see people that have 10 million followers on TikTok, and they'll have an in-person event, and like 10 people will show up.
And they can't fill a room.
So it's
it's a lot of it's not real, but when you're so consumed on it and you're on social media 24/7 or living around these people, it feels like the only thing that's important.
Dude, that's so weird.
It just takes you, honestly, I think, living here long enough and not giving up on it in the process to realize it's not all that it seems.
So with that being said, LA has this stigma that people are fake.
Yes.
What? You're like in the acting industry, which is where you literally have to like,
I'm fake for a living.
I mean, dude. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that like I feel like a lot of these people who live in LA who are creators, they have like very pure hearts, but they're so like morphed by their industry and by the city. But I don't know. I only visit this city, so I'm not as deep in it, and I want to know your opinion on like the fake culture here.
I mean, growing up, my dad was like in the music industry when I was younger, or just when he was younger. And he said something that's like always stuck with me. And it was the difference between an A-list celebrity and everyone else is they're the ones that people are rooting for, that they work with. They're the ones that show up to work and make other people like happy that they're there and that get that welcome back. And I always stuck by it. I do think like I met a lot of really good people too. I met a lot of really bad people, but that doesn't discredit that there are just like really genuine people if you know where to look for them.
Yeah.
In terms of being fake, absolutely. Again, as we were just saying, like it's a numbers game for a lot of people. And also comparison also doesn't really make people most welcoming. And that comes from the sense of entitlement. When you had millions of people online telling you how amazing you are every single day, it's addictive. I'm like,
it's like you almost, even the like fakest people, you almost couldn't blame them because you don't know like what happened to them. Like in like bro, if this podcast got 10 million views, like I'd like to say that I wouldn't have an ego tomorrow, but who knows, because I've never experienced that. It's like, and I'm young and like I have an impressionable brain, and it
we're human beings. We like social media is geared for like dopamine and like yes, we want that. That's why we're on it in the first place. Everyone does. I don't even like, I wouldn't even say that's necessarily wrong. It's just it's built for that.
Yeah, that's so interesting though, because even going back to like asking you, why do you think so many people want to become an actor? It's like, well, do they want to become an actor because they love stories and playing someone else, or do they want to become an actor because they love likes and validation?
I think it's not even acting.
And this could be podcasting or YouTube or
anything. I think it's really apparent, at least to the people who work in your industry, if you're there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
It's very apparent because if you're there because you're passionate about it, you'll put in the extra work. It's visible. You could tell someone's like happy doing what they're doing, or if they're there just like because they want to be the shit.
I also feel like it's so hard to, like you'll hit a wall if you can have the best discipline in the world, but like if you're not really passionate about it, you'll hit a wall, and like that's almost what I feel kind of happened to me with YouTube is that like I feel like I convinced myself I was passionate about YouTube because that was just like
you put out your identity.
Yeah, it was my identity, literally. Like I did it, and it's crazy because now it's the most desired job in the world is being a YouTuber. But even like 4 years ago in high school when I first like posted a video, there might have been 3 other kids in my school who did it. And so it was like, that was like, oh, I'm being different. My identity is YouTube. Therefore, I'm going to succeed. And then when everyone else started doing it and I started working so hard at it and I got sick and I was like, dude, this work actually like doesn't give me energy. And I switched to the podcast and this has been a month ago and it gives me like 10x more energy. And it's just like, but I had convinced myself for so many years. And like part of me loves YouTube. Like I'm not like anti-YouTube, but it's really interesting.
I've been told this so many times by casting directors, directors, like anyone, other actors as well. If you can do anything else, meaning like you can stand to do anything else in the world, don't do acting. It's so difficult, and you're gonna face so much rejection.
Yeah.
But if it's worth it to you, and you could truly not see yourself doing anything else, then that's how you know you should stick with it. Otherwise, you're not going to like it. It's not great most of the time, and also like. You film a movie, it comes out like 2 years later, there's no immediate gratification.
Yeah. Which I think, have you ever heard of the marshmallow test?
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'm sorry for not knowing you.
No, this is like some, I thought you might know it because you said you're like psychoanalyze people, but basically they studied a bunch of, this is like a multi-generational study. So it's like one scientist study a group of people there for their whole lives and then another scientist take it over. So it's like they studied a group of kids. I don't remember what age they were, but let's say they were like 5 years old. And they offer them they say, hey, they make sure the kids like marshmallows. And so they go, you can either have one marshmallow right now, or you can wait an hour and have 2 marshmallows. So it's instant versus delayed gratification. And that was all they asked them. And then after that, they studied the kids for their entire lives. And all the kids who picked to wait an hour and have their marshmallow later, who picked the delayed gratification, were like astronomically more successful than the kids who didn't.
I believe it.
And it's so crazy because we live in a world where, why is TikTok more popular than YouTube? Because it's instant gratification.
It's 15-second videos that you can scroll through and immediately get what you want.
It's like, why is YouTube more popular than acting? Because it's more instant than acting. Everything goes to like
everything is becoming like shorter form YouTube Shorts. Like,
yeah, it's literally like
the attention span is getting smaller and smaller.
I know, but dude, and that's why I almost feel better about like switching to the podcast because it's like I'm not playing into, and I guess everyone does the freaking podcast, so it's like not that special, but it's
I don't
like
believe that.
Yeah.
Everyone has something different to say.
But it's like, I like the idea of, I used to like think a lot about how YouTube videos affect people, and back in high school. I thought about myself being a lonely kid and coming home and watching YouTube, and I was like, damn, that guy helps me when I'm lonely. So it was easy for me to decide I want to be a YouTuber because I'm going to go help other lonely kids. But now I look at YouTube and almost every video it's not based on who you're subscribed to anymore. It's based on watch time and click-through rate, which means that you get a bunch of people making content that's not true to themselves, but it's true to getting the best analytics, best money, best. And I think about like, I started finding myself trying to create videos just so they would perform the best. And that's when I realized that I wasn't passionate about it. And it makes me, there's like almost this guilt, like how you were saying, like, well, why would I become an actor if I could do something more noble? And it wasn't the same guilt for me, but it was, why would I make these types of videos if it's going to give people ADHD and make them like ruin their attention spans, make them more lonely? Because the whole reason I did it is so that kids would be not lonely, like how it was for me. And so that was a big thing. And like, I feel much better releasing like I can confidently say that if someone watched one of my old videos, I don't know what they're going to take away. Some of them had good messages, but
Cinematic masterpiece.
But I think this conversation, like listening to, we're literally talking about the issue and talking about real shit, and you're talking about your life and the truth behind acting and fake. It's like I have so much more confidence that this will leave real value on someone than I did with those YouTube videos.
Yeah, because you stand by what you're putting out there.
Yeah, it just aligns so much more with my values and the mission, and it's interesting.
And like when you're authentic with what you put out, it's also like it's visible across the board. Like same if you listen to like an artist and their song doesn't resonate with them, they're just doing it to like get like another hit. You could tell sometimes. Like you could tell there's real emotion behind it or not.
I want to talk about you listening to Spotify 8 hours a day. And I used to do the same thing. And do you think, is there any like deeper meaning behind that? Is it like...
I love music. I started to more so because like, to me it's different.
Yeah.
When I listen to it, I think of like scenes to write. I love screenwriting. And it's the same. It allows me almost to like organize my thoughts, I'd say. And it's not like in the same way as like escapism as like reading or like TV would be. I genuinely love it. My life has a soundtrack, you know.
So that's interesting because I've never hyperanalyzed this. I'm really just doing it right this moment. But I also used to listen to like 8 hours of music a day. And in the last year, I kind of stopped. I started consuming a lot more podcasts, and that's partially because I'm starting a podcast. So it's just consuming what I want to create. But thinking about it now, I do almost feel like I love music the way you do. Like, I literally am the type of guy who I listen to a song and I go on Genius and I read up little meaning behind the song. And when I listen to albums, like you know how like you'll ask people what their favorite song, like you'll ask people about music and they'll just say like songs. Like I always talk about albums because I really believe that a lot of artists create albums in the sense of they're creating stories.
Oh yeah, it's like an entire project to them trying to. It's storytelling.
So, and I really appreciate music, but I almost felt that like by listening so much, it was like maybe, or I guess I'm just like thinking this now, maybe it was sort of like escapism. I don't know, because
I mean, like I made the joke earlier where I was like, I listen to Spotify more than I listen to my own thoughts.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, it's true. I would be more comfortable going on an hour-long walk with music than just a walk, not strenuous, and listen to music than I would just, like, being alone in my head. And that's not to say that, like, I love being alone, first of all, I'm happy with it. But, I guess I can't really explain it. It does help me be more okay with singing through things.
Ooh. Yeah. I'd be curious to see like if you went like, say you're saying like songs will inspire screenwriting. I'd be curious if you did the same process, whatever that is, going on a walk, going to the gym, and you took the music away. If you get as much inspiration for screenwriting, you might get some new ideas that are like completely original.
I like it. There's some things that I know, like, I should be doing and probably would help mentally, such as, like, journaling.
I journal.
I go through phases.
Yeah. And
it does help. I love writing. Just writing about my own thoughts. Sometimes at the end of the day, I'm just too emotionally drained. But I don't advise that. I do need to get back into it. Yeah. I probably would benefit from that. Actually, I left my AirPods in a car yesterday, so I kind of... Do you need to go?
My mom's one of those people who thinks AirPods give you brain cancer. And so when my AirPods broke, I would, same as you, like, actually, now that I'm thinking about why I stopped listening to music, this is probably why. It's because...
You did stop listening to it?
Not stop listening, like, I stopped listening at like, that level. I used to, like, AirPods daily, day in, day out, day in, day out.
I fall asleep to it, I work out to it.
I didn't fall asleep. I wasn't at that level.
No, I go to bed, I'm falling asleep, and then right before I'm about to like knock out, I'll just go like and hit pause right before. Like
almost like you're in like a half awake, half asleep state. Then you know how to do that. See,
I have my angry girl music for the duration of the beginning of the day, and then at night is my sad girl music.
Oh, I have a question. Since you're such a big music person, I ask a lot of people this: and not in a minor way, because everyone has it in a minor way, in a very extremely significant way. does time of day affect what music you like?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
because I have it to the point where there are songs that I would say they're 10 out of 10, perfect song. I will not listen to them in the daytime, or I will not listen to them at nighttime.
Yeah.
And I have friends who are like, that's so
I have
weird.
different playlists for different times of
Yeah,
day.
yeah, I do too. But people say it's really weird. They say, like, if you like that song so much, why don't you listen to it in the daytime? Like, I can't.
My morning playlist, which has in the little caption,
Yeah.
the title is Burn Them All to the Ground. And then
Say it more clear so they can understand you.
The title of it is Burn Them All to the Ground. You know, just I was feeling really angsty in the moment. And then my
What's
nighttime.
the goal of that playlist?
Oh yeah, I mean it's because I'm gonna go work out. So I'm like,
okay.
let's go.
Well, then that's good. You're like burning your thighs.
Yeah,
Or
but
something.
but then my nighttime playlist is My Therapy Because Someone's Son Didn't Go.
Wait, what is it called?
My Therapy Because Someone's Son Didn't Go.
Because someone's son didn't go.
Like go to therapy. Yeah. Like I'm dealing with his issues kind of bad. I started that playlist a long time ago.
Okay, yeah, that was a hard title to break down.
Sorry, I mean it was kind of like.
Oh, I'm enjoying this. Tell me other playlist names.
They're honestly along the same vibes. I do make like a new one every single month because I cycle through songs so
Okay.
quickly. I've also been told that I unintentionally listen to a lot of like TikTok music. I don't go on TikTok to find music, but
Yeah.
I just end up
I mean,
supporting all of them.
there's a reason that TikTok music goes viral, is because generally it's because it's good music, but people like to hate on it because it becomes popular and it's not underground anymore, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, I was gonna ask you, or I wanted to give you a music idea for playlists. This is something I thought of, and you're kind of like a few years late, but maybe you've already done this. It's like you create a playlist for every year, so it's like.
We'll do that for months though, so I'm a step ahead.
Oh, you're a step ahead.
I have like May 2021. Like I do it every single month for years.
Oh, okay. Well, then I was gonna say, and then at the end of 10 years, you can make a playlist of the decade where you can only pick one song from every month. I was gonna say one time every year, and then you could have 12 times 10, 120 song playlist of the decade.
Man, if I'm still doing that like 10 years from now,
It's hard. Yeah.
I should still stay in therapy though.
But I wouldn't. When I do that, I would make sure that the song came out in the year that I put it on the playlist. So it's probably different from what you're doing at the month.
I mean, honestly, like new release Friday on Spotify is like my version of Christmas. So I do stay pretty current with it.
And wait, are you an album person?
Yeah.
What's like your favorite album? You don't have to pick one.
No. I can say that the answer I'm about to give is probably the most cliche for what you'd expect from how I look.
Yeah.
But Nessa Barrett's
Wait,
Young Forever album by Nessa Barrett.
Yeah.
I do love it. I love her music. Honestly.
You do kind of look like Nessa Barrett.
I'll take it. She's
I
beautiful.
need to listen to the album.
It's really dark.
Wait, is that her newest one?
Yeah, Young Forever.
Because I listened to her first one.
The other one is Pretty Poison.
Yeah, I listened to that one like once or twice. But what's my favorite? I think my favorite album is Saint Pablo by Kanye. But I don't know. I have a lot of favorite albums.
It's controversial right now, but I do love his music.
I mean, yeah. It's whatever. As long as you say you just love his music, then people.
No, I think he's a musical.
I like him personally, but I'm not gonna get into.
Yeah, I'm not getting into it. I like his music a lot.
Yeah, I upset people sometimes, and I say like Kanye's such like a interesting topic.
It's just a hot topic. The opinions will be different a month from now, I'm sure.
This has been going really well. I want to just acknowledge you.
Oh, hell yeah.
I've been having a good time.
With the helicopter right now.
Yeah. Waiting on the helicopter.
Hold for helicopter.
Let's do a whole topic switch.
I mean,
why did you box growing up, and how did you end up boxing boys?
well, I started when I was 14. I go for like 2 hours a day. Took it very seriously. I did it because I wanted to be able to physically defend myself and my mom. Like, it's just the two of us. Single mom and no siblings, so.
Hey, you're the only child?
Mm-hmm. Like, she's truly my only family. And my best friend. But yeah, I wanted to be able to like stand up for myself. Like that my value of like behind portraying really strong female characters carries through, and just like how I want to carry myself too.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be someone that has to rely on other people to defend them or just like come save them. Like do not support the Bella Swan mentality.
Oh.
And I ended up boxing only guys because I went to a really bad neighborhood to go do it. It was like this underground, like really unsafe boxing place that my mom really did not support me going to. And I was the only female and probably the only one under like 25 that went there, and they did not hold back. I used to have like a nose ring, got punched out 5 times. That's why freckles.
Why would you wear a nose ring in there?
I just didn't take it out. I mean, I learned my lesson. I was like 16.
Seems like an obvious one.
Yeah, it would have been.
Did you like ever break your nose or anything?
No, and that was my when I took like a brief break from it for like health reasons, and my mom was like, if you continue doing it, you're gonna break your nose, and that's not a good look.
Oh, you probably got so good though because you were just boxing like a bunch of like really good old guys.
They just did not care that I was a small female.
Dude, that's really weird though. I feel like, I mean, it must be the area, but
it was the area.
I feel like I would feel so.
No one would do it.
I would feel so like, I know that.
Tried to like just like heavily box like my friends and stuff that like do that like, and they were like, which I respect them for. They refuse to do that. Yeah. But it was the area where they just did not care. It's like, okay, if you want to go into the ring, let's go.
And maybe they don't want to box you either because you have like 5 years of experience.
Like, let's go.
Yeah. That's funny. Like when the boys break the box gloves out and you're like, can I go?
I was like, do you mind if I just like, tap in real quick?
Yeah. That's funny. Cena's a big boxer too.
Yeah, we talked about it.
He's a good boxer. Yeah, I want to do it at some point because I always thought like it would be really. This is like not. I don't know what your opinions on this are, but I always thought it would be fun to do like a YouTube boxing fight.
I would totally do.
Bro, you should do one of the girl ones. You probably.
I would do it.
Destroy.
Oh, I would annihilate. I'd come in, seek and destroy mentality.
The next time, yeah, when your acting career takes off and you have some time on the side.
Oh, absolutely. I also, it's just like such a great stress relief. Yeah. And workout too.
So good. It's just so much funner than running for cardio. Yeah.
No, I mean, you're not focusing on like the workout itself. You're focusing on just like what I love about it, I grew up dancing, and they say to be like a good boxer, you should either like master jump rope or dancing. It's like, okay, I'm halfway there, but it's true. Like it is a dance in a way.
Yeah.
Like
sweet science.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take your. I guess I'll try to lead a question here. What like? Do you think? I want to talk about that moment. Did you ever do any like exhibition fights or game?
Not anything,
just training. Just training.
Just like.
But you would fight in training, but.
I would fight in training, and I would do like, just not like sanctions fights, but like through the company.
Oh, okay. So you would do fights. That's what I was kind of asking.
Yeah, when I was like young,
that feeling of just like. I mean, there's very few moments that are kind of like that, whether that's maybe like if you're an artist going in front of a crowd or giving a speech or I don't know if the same thing in acting because it's not as much of an audience.
I mean, I could be in a dance. So it was like that, yeah.
But what is that feeling in boxing where it's one-on-one and you're just like in that ring?
Oh, it's like, scares the shit out of you. Yeah, I mean... That was exhilarating. It's addicting as well. Like if you just like live in it, it's like you're so present in that moment.
Yeah, you can't because like you either be present or get knocked out.
Yeah, like there's something on the table there.
But that's like why that's what to me. I'm not like I do not. I have no like anger problems. I'm not saying you have anger problems.
I don't. I'm not an angry person. I'm a sad person.
But like, I'm not even a fighter really. But just the idea of that like forced presence, like it's just and I like the idea of like it's the idea of like I control my destiny to the point where it's like I'm either gonna be on the floor or I'm gonna put this person on the floor. Like I don't know, it sounds really fun and appealing to me.
It is, and it's also like coming from like I was always like smaller growing up and stuff.
I was
and,
really
like,
small growing up too, so I can remember.
yeah, it's just like I love that feeling that, again, like, I'm independent. Like, I could do this. Like, okay, yeah, you're gonna like look down on me, but like I'll prove you wrong. And that just like
You know,
what?
I wonder if there's like a thing with small people being. I felt that like so much.
Napoleon complex.
Yeah. Hey, we're just like scientists. We just draw up all these random studies and.
Yeah, I'll cite my sources below this, actually.
Yeah. But I played football like my whole life, and I was always the smallest kid on the football team. Like, dude, you should see my freshman year football. It's like giants, and I literally look like I'm like 10 years younger than the people. But
you just have like a fire in your eyes.
yeah, I mean, dude, I think I really am happy I did it. In the moment, it was a big reason that I didn't like get bullied where like people took my lunch money, but I definitely got bullied in the sense where like.
Always bullied.
When I was like played football and you're the smallest kid on the football team, you just are like the kid who gets bullied. That's just how it works.
I still looked really young in high school.
Oh,
so I was small and I looked young.
I don't want my.
I know, I don't have my phone.
I'll show you my ID, bro. I'll like look like a 12-year-old, but.
I wasn't until I turned 19 that I started looking older at my age, honestly, or maybe 18. But until then, I was youngin'.
The youngin' though, it does give you a fire. Like it literally.
Oh, it does, because people look down on you for it.
And I mean even.
Or people don't take you seriously. That's
being
really
a guy. I mean, I don't want it because it sounds like you had a similar experience. But I was gonna say like, when you look smaller as a guy too, it's like not in a.
No, it's also different.
It's like it's not like an attractive thing. You know, like sometimes when girls are smaller, like that's like guys are attracted to that, but.
Yeah, I mean, the young thing across the board just is not the best.
Yeah, but
if they like you because you look younger, there's another thing to that.
That's that too. But yeah, definitely. I think it was one of the best things that happened to me though, because by the time I still look a little young, but now it's like now that my looks are more catching up, I still have that fire because it was like I certainly did not peak in high school, and that's like something I'm really
I did not peak in high school.
grateful for as well. I
was like, I hope no photos of me ever come out from those years. Also, I did go through a blonde phase, so that's part of the reason.
Why does girls like go through blonde phases?
Every girl goes through one, I feel like.
Can you, that's just a question I have no answer to, and I'm curious.
Well, I'll say for me, it was because of a character I really liked was blonde, so I was like, I'll fully, like, I literally, like, method act for reading when I'd get into a series. That's why I do not read right now, because I can't afford to do that, time-wise. I mean, blonde's the classic beauty standard, even if it's not everyone's, it still is.
I think you're right, though. I think that's the reason for it. And
it is true. Like, it's like I was for like a year, I got treated different. And my aesthetic in general, like not always intentional, but is darker. It was before that. I always dress the same too.
Wait, so is that your natural hair color?
No, I have like wavy auburn hair.
Okay. But
I've always dyed it darker.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm not entirely sure if that's even my natural hair color anymore. I think I remember it being that, but it's lighter brown at the very least.
It's not blonde, certainly.
No, it's not blonde. But yeah, I mean, I did it also because I was like so into the idea of like I'm gonna change my identity this year.
Yeah.
Like I was always wanting to change my identity or change my look, like something to like reinvent myself. That was always
you know what's interesting along the same lines is my real name's not Ozzy.
Really?
And I'm not going to say my real name on this podcast. I'll tell you after if you want to know. But one day, no one called me Ozzy. It wasn't something someone called me that became my nickname. I wanted to not be who I was in high school. So I graduated high school, or not even, it was probably late into my junior year. I changed all my socials to Ozzy, A-U-Z-I. All my socials to Ozzy. I told my friends to start calling me Ozzy. And at first, people were like, dude, we're not calling you Ozzy, you freaking weirdo. Like, they were like...
I know a lot of people in LA that have the same story, that coming out of high school or moving to LA, they changed their name.
That's interesting, because I don't know people in San Diego.
I know more people that have done that than haven't, honestly.
That's crazy. And you know, maybe, and that goes, I think that probably goes into why LA is such like a creative place. I think a lot of creative people, like, or, you know, I heard something interesting was that a lot of people become an actor, they become a YouTuber, or they become a podcaster, or they do creative work because they don't feel like they belong in their current world. So whether that is like their current world is high school or the football team or the dance studio.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I got into storytelling.
They feel like they don't belong in the current world, so they create their own world, and that was, yeah.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I'm proud of myself in the sense that I, like, no one wanted to call me Ozzy, but I literally just changed my identity, and now
I will not respond to anything else.
Yeah, and I just went to college, and then when I went to college, like, everyone just met me as that, and now that's, like, who I am, and it's funny because I used to be, like, insecure about my old identity, but now I'm just so confident in myself that's, like, when I'm with people from high school or whatever, and they're calling me my real name, it's like, I can accept that person. I'm like, I still love that person, but I'm like way happier.
It's not who I am, but like I was.
Yeah, and I have a lot of love for that time period in my life. It's not so much, like, I feel like when I first became Ozzy, I was like, I hate that version of me. And now I'm like, no, that version of me taught me a lot.
I had the same thing. My given legal name is Willow, and my middle name's Grace, so it's like Willow Grace. My last name, when I came out to LA, I changed it. And it's the same thing. If I have to take out my license or something, I hate it. Like even still, I'm like, I'm not that person. Yeah. And also, my family, just my mom and I, neither of us have like any tie to that last name. Yeah. So it doesn't mean anything. And it reminds me of that person that I didn't want to be anymore. And like Willow Grey, which is my name, it's the person I chose. Yeah, that's interesting. Would you ever legally change your name to that? Oh, yeah. It's in the works. I've actually, like... Oh, it's in the works. Okay. I'll check back in with you soon. Okay. But, like, yes and no. I mean, I don't honestly know if there's, like, a point to it or something. Like... I wouldn't change my name because I had a really good experience with my dad. And, like, even though I don't like my full real name, I love my dad so much that I will keep it as my full real name. But if I didn't, I would definitely change it. It's just like such a pain in the ass to change your name. It's like, it's archaic, the process to do it. Especially if you're in LA, because then everything that's like a DMV or an office like that, like if you come to LA, it's like 10 times worse. No. Also, did you know there's like, you still have to do this. Have you looked into the process of changing it? No. You're legally required to, in the hometown that you're born in, to publish that change in the newspaper. Yeah, it was a rule that's never changed. How can you? So Elizabeth City, North Carolina, I have to announce to you guys that he was born in North Carolina. Like Mr. Beast. You know, it gets good people. Dude, I feel like I never met anyone from North Carolina, but in the last like 3 months, I've met like 4 or 5 people, which is interesting. To be fair, my mom and dad put all the places they wanted to in a hat and chose New York. So we moved to New York when I was 9 months old, so I didn't spend too much time there. But, I guess... That's an interesting way to move. I spent the majority of time in New York. Do you like New York? I love the city. I do eventually want to move back after I've gone farther in my career. Really? You want to go back to New York? I love it. I'm going to New York City this month. I'm going next month. In... like middle of July. My dad's from the part of New Jersey that's like an hour away from have you seen like in the Christmas movies where there's an ice skating rink and then there's that like tall building, it's like the ice skating rink in the middle? My dad worked in that building. Really? Yeah, so I mean I have ties to New York, but I haven't ever gotten to. I'm really excited to go this month because it's my first time experience. There's like going to a place with your parents and there's going like on your own. No, it's a completely different experience. Yeah. So this will be my first time really experiencing the city. Give the recommendations. Yeah. Also, like it's just the energy there, so it's amazing. Yeah, it's like, you know what's interesting is like people are so much on the face meaner in New York, but they're so much more like authentic and honest. Yeah, I mean. People are straight up. It's like literally a flip-flop of LA. Yeah. Where it's like LA is like everyone's so nice and genuine on the surface. Face, yeah. And then they'll go and like shit talk you behind your back. But in New York, they just shit talk you to your face. It's like, it's almost like better. Because it's like, I mean, I guess someone would be straight up with me then like, Same. Yeah. No, I really dislike like, again, if you don't like me, I'd way rather you tell me that or just not pretend to not.
So,
Really, actually good to know. So just to let you know, we don't fuck with each other.
No, I'm enjoying this podcast. So it's very conversational, which was my main goal, and I feel like
I
that's
can always
good.
talk.
I wanted to ask you, though, this goes back to being a workaholic, and we talked about like finding, putting your worth in your work. But do you think everyone always throws around the word like or the phrase "enjoy the journey"? But do you think as someone, you set a goal, it was get into film school. At 14, you got into film school. You set a goal, graduate with...
I enjoy the come up.
Yeah. I want to ask you, do you think you're someone who chases destination happiness? Like you choose something and you put your happiness in that destination and...
I do, and it's horrible. It's something I need to work on. I am. That's like my mom's like number one like gripe with me is that like she's always said that I need to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. And it's not that I don't. It's just I don't feel like that sense of satisfaction until my biggest fear is not living up to my potential. And again, that goes back to literally like the initial conversation with like, how do you not compare yourself? Like, how do you like, and it's not good. Like, you're never going to be happy if you're just chasing like the North Star that you'll never actually get to. Because when you get there, it's just
there's what's next. Yeah, what's next?
I'm not as bad as I used to be. But like, admittedly, I do need to work on it. And I'd be so much happier if I could truly be present more. I do think I am though. Like I've had enough. Like I have really good people in my life right now that just naturally make me live in the moment when I'm around them, and that plays a huge part of it. I'd say the number one thing is realizing that there's a life outside of that goal. It makes you appreciate the journey to that goal more, see it more objectively, and also show that there's like so much to life. Like life is amazing.
Life is amazing.
It is amazing. And it's beautiful.
And you know what I appreciate about your answers? I appreciate that you didn't like. You just authentically said, yeah, I have that problem, instead of being like, no, I don't, like, because you know the problem.
It's horrible.
But, and I appreciate that authenticity. I definitely struggle. I mean, I think that having this podcast mission be Soul Wealth, it's helped me so much because even when I look at the analytics on this podcast, it's so much easier to be like, whatever it says, to not let it affect me because I know that my like core mission is the soul wealth thing. So it's like if I'm someone who's obsessive, so it's like almost by having this mission, it's helping me, but I hope it's helping other people. And it's funny, I was all about manifest, and I still believe in manifesting. But the funny thing is, what I would want to manifest is I would sit in the mirror every night and I would say, I'm going to have 1 million subscribers by this date on this time. I would say that all the time. And every time the date and time came, I never hit it. But that's not the issue. The issue is that even if I had it was just...
I want 2 million by next one.
It's just a number. It's like just a number. And it's like not only is it just a number, the issue is that it's in the future. I can't...
Future isn't
It's
real.
never here.
No, it's not
never
real.
here. And so...
We literally only have this moment. Tomorrow isn't intangible.
So you know what I talk a lot about, and I think is so important for YouTubers or for creatives, is I talk about success before and after post. So almost everyone wants to find their success after they hit post. So they go, all right, I'm uploading my YouTube video today. The second I hit post, I don't know if I'm successful yet. I gotta wait to see how much money this video makes me, and then I'll decide if I'm successful. I gotta see how much likes this video gets, then I'll decide if I'm successful. I gotta see how my parents and my friends take it, and then I'll decide. But I always try to tell people, and this is like a really big message of the podcast, is that I know I'm already successful. This podcast is a success because 1, I had a good time talking to you. So I already won. 2, it aligns with my values. So I stand by everything I said. So that's like...
And I had a great day because of this. I already affected one person.
And then, and 3, it's like my own emotions. It made me feel something. I had thought-provoking. I hope you had thought-provoking. So it's like, that is...
All the thoughts were provoked.
It's hard to be successful, and that's like so good for me to keep in mind. And I think there's definitely ways to have that mindset with acting, whether it's like once you do the audition, it's like...
I forget about it. The second everything's self-submissions now after COVID. I've gotten really good at once I like send it to my agent,
Yeah.
out of my mind.
Then
I don't think about it again. And then if / when I hear back, then great. I'll focus on like the callback or chemistry read or whatever. But until then, I forget it exists.
Dude, that's so awesome. That is really awesome. So this next segment is up. You don't have to do this, so you don't want to, but the improv. I wanted to ask your actor, could I describe a situation you could...
Just because I play really dark characters, maybe not on the USC campus, but I'm so down to send in a clip or do this later.
Okay. Maybe there will be a clip right here of Willow doing improv. And
I do love, like, my favorite thing, though, is improv over, like, going off the script, honestly.
but that, you know what would be interesting is if it's a whole podcast and then it's like a sent-in clip of you doing improv and then it ends the podcast, because I'm trying...
I've just been improving this whole time, you know?
I'm trying to not like hold myself to like the ways people do stuff. So like a lot of people, podcasts have to be inside, and I'm like, I don't have a studio, so I'm like, I could either say like I don't have a studio, so no, I'm not going to do podcasts, or I could just film them outside. Or I'm like, a lot of people look at each other, which I do look at you a lot, but we are also looking at the camera, which is not the call in for podcasts. And I'm like, dude, frick it, if I want to throw one of Willow's auditions in the podcast, then I'll throw on Willow's auditions, because in that also comes from that that success thing, because it's like, if I no longer care about success after, then I don't have to make my podcast try to look like some other successful podcast. I can make it whatever I want it to.
Yeah, it's your project.
And that's very freeing. I do have a question that I end every podcast with, and it's soul wealth. It's when I ask people, I think the best way to get people to think about soul wealth is to reverse engineer life, which is, what do you want people to say about you when you die? Because, and the reason that is that I'm never gonna say that I want people to know that I had a million monthly listeners on my podcast. I'm gonna say I want people to know that. The thing I always answer is I want others to say that I made them feel important. That's like my answer that I generally go to. And I'm curious, when you die, what do you want people to say about you?
I told you my initial, like, fears that is to not live up to my potential.
Yeah.
I want people to say that she could have done anything she wanted and she did everything that she could. And I want to make an impact, and I want to bring just more female representation to screen and just give that voice that, like, females can be whoever they want and be their own person. And I hope to just make impactful stories. But if it was any line, it would be that initial one.
So, but correct me if I'm wrong, you it's really important to you, and maybe this is because you grew up with just a mom and a single daughter, is that you want people to empower females to feel like they can be the hero, or
yeah, exactly, to be any version of themselves that they want. Because for me, that's how I created my life. I'm so much happier with now.
Yeah.
Was by initially emulating that.
Yeah.
And I care a lot about just female empowerment overall.
Right.
Again, like, growing up just my mom and myself, but I don't know.
Why? You know, it's interesting. That's like there's so many athletes who have that story, who have that, like, because generally, like, if a parent leaves, like, well, the mom can't ever leave. They have the kid, so.
Kind of stuck with me, to be honest.
It's a really beautiful story, and I'm glad you have that. Could you, not to change the moment, but could you do like a thumbnail face? I don't know what.
Yes.
What thumbnail I should do.
I would love this still be part of the podcast.
Oh no, this is gonna be a part of the podcast. I was gonna keep it in at the end, but.
Okay. You guys could watch me just fixing my hair then.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Let's see how long it was. An hour and 3 minutes. Awesome.
Hell yeah.